I would like to present our work on behavior of Caspian seals. I think everybody knows that this is a very important topic, and studying behavior allows us to assess the capabilities to adapt to new environmental changes. We have performed this study together with research institutes of the fishery and agriculture. And now I would like to start. The goal of the study was to study the behavior of seals on island hollowouts. We also wanted to have a retrospective analysis on these island hollowouts. We wanted to analyze photomaterials from 2015 to 2019 during the springs, and we wanted to separate this behavior into different elements and categories. I would also like to say that we mainly studied two hollowouts, Durneva Islands in the Caspian Bay and Kendirli Islands near Kendirli Spit. These two islands are in the Kazakhstan part of the Caspian Sea. I would also like to note that Kendirli Islands are in the shallow water. They are hard to reach, and we used special watercraft to reach them. And we performed the studies in 2016, speaking about Durneva Islands. Speaking about Kenddirli Bay, we had the studies since 2015 to 2019 during the springtime. It is 8 kilometers from the Kenddirli base, and we could reach that by boats. Our methodology included the need to cover our traces, to get as close to the seals as possible. Sometimes we're able to get as far as 30 meters to the seals, but usually it was from 50 to 100 meters to the seals. We also had the comparative analysis of gray whales and Caspian seals, or gray seals and Caspian seals rather, and we found 12 similar behavioral activities. And here you can see on the slide, usually we were crawling not to affect the animals. If we saw that the animals were distressed and they moved away, we retreated. We categorized the behavior into different categories and elements. We have also performed and described the characteristics of these behaviors. Here is an example. We gave the definition. The behavior element is a specific action which is the same for the representatives of the same species. The behavioral act is a number, is a set of behavioral elements, and behavioral categories is a number of behavioral acts which are formed according to their function. On this picture, you can see that the categories, for example, to providing the need for the physiological necessities of the body is performed by scratching the body, and then it is performed by using their flippers. We have identified 44 behavioral elements. We created an ethogram which consists of 51 behavioral acts, which are separated into 7 behavioral categories. Here I would like to speak about the table. As you can see here on the slide, there are 7 behavioral categories: physiological needs, reaction to the stimulus, different types of behavior, distance, locomotion. You can see also the behavioral acts, which are part of these categories on the right. Now I would like to show you a couple of videos just to demonstrate how our seals crawl around and swim and lay together. This is one of the behavioral acts. It's touching a neighbor seal. They were just laying around on the hollout and they were touching each other. A part of grooming, so to say. The next video demonstrates aggressive behavior, open mouth, and ready to lunge. This is footage from Durneva Islands during springtime. They rest here, they moat here, and if there is at least some motion, there is a touch from their neighbors, they can be agitated and they can respond in an aggressive manner. I would like to note that when we analyzed the third-party stimulus, one of them was retreating into water when sighting a human. We took this footage from Kendirli Islands. We saw this quite a lot of times, especially when boats go by seals' hollouts. Seals responds by going into water from the hollouts. The next slide shows different anthropogenic reasons for decreased abundance of seals on Kendirli hollouts. We had our studies from 2015 to 2019 during the spring times. But in 2019, in autumn, we did not see any seals there. That's why we singled out several reasons for their going away from this hollout. It's human activity, it's poaching, it's hunting, it's fishing, and it's entanglement. So the human activity is negatively impacting seals' activity when they're molting, when they're resting on hollouts, and causing them to die. Next point is that currently, since 2018, no seals haul out on these islands during this autumn time, even though in 2009 we cited 700 seals, and in 2016 we cited 479 seals. And as you can see, there is a very steep anthropogenic effect on haulouts on these islands. In autumn 2018, we saw that fishers go to these islands to catch fish. And this is another picture. At 7 a.m., we were crawling closer to the seals. Several minutes later, we were even closer. At 11:6, we saw no seals because there were boats close by. And later we saw no seals at all, and that's why we wanted to provide this information as well, how fast they retreat into water. And to conclude my presentation, I would like to say that we have created an ethogram which consists of 51 behavioral acts separated into 7 categories. I would like to say the categories vividly describe the behavior of Caspian seals during the hollout formation, and studying the behavior of Caspian seals can be used to assess anthropogenic negative impact on seals and could be used to analyze the prospects of ecological tourism. Thank you for your attention. Seals also thank you, and we would be glad if there are any questions, and I will gladly answer them. We do have 2 questions. Dear moderator, please read the questions. The first question is from Vladimir Gromov. Thank you for a very interesting presentation. Lalaga seal scratches their neighbor as an aggressive behavior because this is very discomforting to their neighbor. Did you see these cases? Answer: yes, we did see this kind of cases. We noted this behavior on Durneva Islands, rather, when seals get to their hollowouts, they select a place. If there's some neighbor, if there's someone in the way, they start to scratch the side of the seal, and then that seal starts to move. We noticed this behavioral act. Second question from Natalia Krykova. It's a very interesting presentation. Once again, you analyzed the duration of the reaction, but did you analyze the time when the seals responded to boats, to ships, to humans? Because sometimes they leave at once, sometimes it takes time for them to go into water. Answer: we did not study the response to vessels, but for example, when we speak about boats, they gaze at these boats for a prolonged time. We did put that down. The onset of the reaction, we put down the distance when they react to this, or for example, they hear or when they see something, they raise their heads, and they see towards the ship, towards that way. And we saw the time it takes for them to react. We saw the distance between the seals and ships, and how long does it take for them to leave. But we also noticed another thing, because the colony is usually, the population is pretty big, and if one part of the population leaves the hollout and goes into water, then the third part of the population reacts to the reaction of the first part, and they also leave and go into water. So they maybe didn't even see the ships, but they reacted to the behavior of other seals. And it's interesting that some of them still still remain on the hollouts. They do not leave, but only after an hour and a half, they do not go into water. And after that, the hollout is reorganized, but only if someone stays in the hollout site. And the next question, you compare the behavior of gray seals and Caspian seals. Why did you decide to choose the gray seal and not some other species? Answer: I think it's a very interesting question. You said this, when we started this study, we wanted to select the most suitable one, and the best ethogram available was specifically for gray seal. It was very detailed. It had a very detailed description. That is why we selected it. And it's also parts of the faucets. So that's why we decided to select it.